Welcome back to the cronecast at the Rising Moon. Okay, guys, today I have for you a pick a card reading and it's a wild card reading. These are the Angel Answers cards. I did shuffle for the cards and I do know what they say, but you don't. So it's a wild card reading. The reading is going to be whatever that particular card's message is about. Take a moment. You'll have a moment here with the cards to concentrate, see which one really calls out to you. That is your angel message or your angel guidance for this particular reading. Take a moment, concentrate, and I will see you at the time of your reading. Welcome back. If you chose pile number 1, this is your reading. We're putting the number 1 over there so that people can easily fast forward to their readings. But there are timestamps in the description box down below. What's your wild card about? It's about big happy changes. I did shuffle for these, so these were all organically drawn. But your reading is going to be about what big happy changes are headed your way in your angel messages. Guys, I need to put my housekeeping at the top of these days. If you want to book me for a private reading, that is at therisingmoon.com, and that is the only way to book me. There's a link to my website in the description box down below. Please don't forget to do things like subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. And don't forget that I have a podcast called Logical Magic, Examining Esoterica. Let's get going here. We're using an infinity spread. I almost always use an infinity spread for YouTube readings. All right, we're using the Lepus Tarot for this. I have the King of Swords in reverse, okay? For me, that's often incoming text messages, hearing from someone electronically. In like a worst case scenario in a reading about a relationship or something, it's someone who didn't tell you the truth, who may be coming clean. I don't feel it that way. It really is about an electronic communication, potentially an email. It seems to be about like kind of a weighty subject, like something important in your life. That is coming up with the 4 of Cups in the upright. All right, so that's stuff happening behind the scenes. Can be being haunted by something, by the way, as we're in the... I'll be putting this up on the same day that I think my Halloween episode for the Logical Magic is coming up. It's a card of current discontent, but like in the background, something is being brought to you. Then I have it coming out with the Sun card in the upright. Wow, that is big, happy, healthy changes. That is optimism. That is positivity. That is healing. Hey, listen, if you've been on a healing journey and you're like, does it ever end? It's a little bit weird because the answer is both yes and no. Like the gaping wounds close and you may have some vulnerabilities, particularly if you've been working with trauma. But as you heal, like you stop, it's no longer an injury that holds you back. It's a part of yourself that you understand and know how to care for. With the Sun coming up, by the way, for people who are hoping for children, this is one of the conception energies. And that is coming up with the Ace of Cups in the upright, which is a card of personal happiness and fulfillment. It's the Holy Grail card. There's a lot more happiness coming to you. Literally, it's fun that this is big happy changes and it's like, guess what this is saying? Big happy changes. There are big happy changes coming to you. If you're at the end of your rope, then please keep hanging on. I'm not a long haul reader. I don't do these with the intention of being over the course of a year. It's like I'm more of a short term, like what's coming up in the next 90 days or so. So that's really how I would look at this, is in the next 90 days, there's a transformation that's wholly positive taking place in your life, particularly as it pertains to your happiness, which has like, it kind of seems like all work and no play has been like the theme of your life for a while, trying to figure out how to make things work. This is a card combination that says everything's starting to work out. Oh, look at that. That's the 8 of Cups in the upright that's going on a spiritual journey. Like having to face, when in the facing a difficult truth type of energy that either the King or the Queen of Swords in reverse can have, one of the hardest things to help us heal is taking a look at who we really are, and how we may have gotten in our own way, and how our choices contributed to the situations in our adult life. And it's never about self-blame, it's about self-understanding, and like if you understand yourself, you're able to make better choices going forward. I love that you appear to be moving on from that period of your life. That's coming out with the 6 of Swords in reverse. Honest to goodness, that's a card for closure for me. Sometimes it's a delay. It is one of the cards that I will read as literal death. I don't have any of the other cards that would then make it mean literal death. Because I read with multiple cards, I have to have a 2 or 3 card combination before I see something as literal death. But the the Six of Swords is the only literal death card in the tarot. I personally only see it as literal death in reverse. I'm not seeing it that way. It's as if you're bringing to an end. Oh, wonderful. This is an underlying issues card. Your journey through understanding your underlying issues and how they fueled your choices in the past is coming to an end. Like, you've done the work, you will see the rewards. And there's a part of you that is like, oh, tell me another tale. Sure, I'm going to see the rewards. You're going to see the rewards. That is coming out with the, hello, what are you? This is the Six of Wands. It did come out in reverse. That is a delay. Oh my goodness. It's never a blocked journey. The Six of Wands and the Eight of Wands in reverse. Now, the Eight of Wands in reverse can mean being blocked on social media. But the Six of Wands in reverse with this Sun combination, because this is supporting energy of the Sun, is a delay on things. And remember, even if it's been a long, lonely, toil-filled path for a while, that will eventually fade into memory when everything changes. Because when people are in this energy, the facing the side of ourselves that is like, oh crap, all this work, when it seems endless. It seems like the word trudging is what comes up a lot. Just trudging through this long process, trying to figure out if anything good will remain afterwards. But once you've like really resolved them, your whole life transforms into something that is more successful on every level. Like, you have greater peace with yourself, you have greater peace with your relationships. Whoa, check it out, the Tower. I don't have a bad relationship to the Tower. That can be divine intervention. This is the supporting energy of the Ace of Cups. So, okay, in an infinity spread, here's the reading, here are the underlying issues. Every single card interrelates. And then these are our 2 longer term outcome cards. The Tower is the card of big changes. We've got big, happy changes over here. Now, it can be failure, it can be catastrophe, it can be all of these very, very negative things. But this is a breakthrough energy on something that will make you very happy. So it really does look like there are big changes. Hey, listen, if you're in my collective, you very likely had to recover from codependency, which means that too many details about the future aren't good for you because it will trigger a compulsivity. But do know that things are coming that will make everything a happier landscape than it has been in, I just want to keep saying, a long time. And how long? Sometimes a spiritual cycle can last 7 full years, which is a holy crap level. And by the way, if you're on year 2, you're like, no, don't worry about it. This reading is telling you that your cycle is far shorter. I'm not reading in a long-term capacity here. That's coming out with the Four of Wands in reverse. That can be an attachment energy. And this is coming out with the Nine of Cups in the upright, which is wish fulfillment and manifestation. What I like about this is that be aware that for people who have been doing a lot of work because of toxic relationships, to understand themselves, to heal themselves, to get better treatment, like your underlying attachment issues are something that have been healed. The Four of Wands in reverse can be a card of discontent, but not when it comes out with the Nine of Cups in the upright like that. The Nine of Cups in the upright can be about wish fulfillment and bounty and all of these beautiful, beautiful energies coming to you. I love how every single card, which these obviously were not pre-selected, I shuffled for them on camera, actually supports this energy. So, like, good things be happening, folks. Hello. And I keep getting this kind of like, not a moment too soon feeling. And how swiftly can you really expect this? Well, when the Tower's on the scene, it's like, it's inevitable, it's fate, it's something that's coming along. As I said, I've got 2 cards of like delays on a journey. Please understand, honest to goodness, I want you, like, depending on somebody's age, this can be a weird concept. Try looking back 8 years. Do you remember what was going on in your life? Like, was it turmoil? Was it difficult? What was it? the past fades in memory and importance for what it contained. Now, if like there's one person here who's like, my entire family died in a terrible catastrophic event 8 years ago, please understand clearly I'm not being dismissive about that. But for the most part, the difficulties and the struggles that we face day to day, they fade in importance when everything starts to change. And one of the ways to get through the difficulties and the struggles that we face each day is to understand everything is transient, everything is temporary, that this too shall actually pass, particularly if we are able to put the work in on letting it go and not overinvest in the challenges, the difficulties, and the struggles of the moment. Which is one of the things that it looks like you've been learning. I just have this kind of rebirth energy in this particular card set that I'm really, really enjoying. Your fortune card says, Dragonfly, have confidence during this time of great joy, renewal, and connection to spirit. Then we're going to take one more, Birth. Universal energy brings you opportunity and possibility. These are all cards that they're all saying the same thing. Big happy changes are coming to you. Now, if you're not getting hyper specifics on that, please understand that really is the role of personal readings. But general energies that aren't honed down to those details are still accurate. Big happy changes are coming to you. Particularly, this is the one thing that I can say with some specificity. If someone has been hoping for the conception of a child, then that looks really, really strongly indicated here. Because this is one of the cards that indicates this is the beginning of something new and emotionally pleasing. That card just leapt across the darn room. Here we go. Let's get going here. 1, 2, what have we got here? I'm not going to take it because it just happened to fly off the top as I was starting to shuffle. This is a soul helper. What's the rest of this message? So far, like, this is the most encouraging word. It's keep hanging on. I think you feel super abandoned, and you're just not, and it has been hard. Rise above the dark days of life. Your deepest desires constrain you. This is almost always a codependency energy. If you have been in this long turmoil, this long period of like, oh, just nothing's working out for me, please understand that codependency is never an insult. It is something that is engendered in people, usually through trauma and often through societies that tell them that their worth lies in the hands of another person rather than in their own. And that it's a difficult energy to resolve, but it's so worth it to do so. That when you have actual understanding of your own power and how much power you have in your own life by deciding who will be in it and who won't, that's one of the most powerful things for resolving codependency, is when you have simply learned to walk a path alone for long enough that you don't think of your journey as being dependent on your companions, but rather dependent on your ability to find your path and your ability to keep going, sometimes despite the odds. And by the way, in a spiritual journey, oh so often, we will be asked to kind of keep going through long periods of difficulty, simply so that we can get to know ourselves during adversity. Because that is what actually keeps us healthy, is a deep understanding of ourselves when we're under stress will allow us to resolve and heal our underlying issues so that all of our outcomes are improved. Push and pull energy, okay, well that can be a back and forth energy. That can be this attachment energy, by the way. Spiritual protection, healthy boundaries. This is what gets learned during a healing journey. We have temptation, and I want one more on this with summer, which is growth. Temptation on this, listen, this is a hard one. I do not have any active codependency cards on here, but the push and pull energy and the attachment energy, and a couple of like needing to face some difficult truth energies here. Please be aware that you will always have a tendency towards codependency, and that is not to menace anybody. It is a reminder that you need to stay on top of like, am I keeping this in a healthy energy? When our healthy boundaries are not just with other people. They're for ourselves, meaning that we can recognize when it's like, I might be focusing too much on this. And by the way, it's not just romantic connections. It can be friendships. It can be work. Like that's the one that like I was really forced to resolve, is that like I will overwork myself. I have always been prone to it. I am not like, I'm really physically robust and very, very tough. And so I push and I push and I push. And so sometimes what I would do to like not confront my own feelings is to work too much. And I'm telling you this because that might be part of your problem as well. Particularly if success has been delayed, it is so that you could learn how to deal with your emotions rather than to bury yourself in something to escape them. And that's what codependent people do. And again, if you're like, hey, I'm not codependent, well, I'm likely not your reader because I help people recover from codependency. And that's not a judgment of you. It's just saying that like my messages are catered to people. My conduicy is catered to people who are trying to overcome a very natural vulnerability in all patriarchal societies, which is to engender codependency in the people among them, so that they don't embrace their own power, but rather they listen to power structures. And it's like, it's a little complicated, it's not a lot of fun. By the way, this is on the back. The talisman, you are destined to succeed. You are destined to succeed. And if it feels like this has been so much longer than I was ever told it could possibly be, please be honest with yourself. This is a card of being honest with yourself about whether or not you had really developed healthy coping tools, or if you had simply found a way to feel better by yourself, which is not the same thing. And that's kind of what it looks like. Things were delayed as you put together a toolkit for how to cope when things are going awry, because they're going to. That's just a part of life. Nobody gets an unending amusement park ride through life. Everybody has struggles. Everybody will sometimes have failures, so that they can confront the things that they need to improve, because we are on a journey of self-improvement throughout our spiritual lives. The dagger, this can be, it says on this conflict and danger line white, nothing else supports it. And for me, this is a card of sometimes attachment removal. Hey, I guess I'll link to it at the end of this pile. I just did a podcast on attachments and how to deal with them. So there's all kinds of advice, including what channels you need to go to for what frequencies, about how, because you have a tendency towards attachments. All really powerful people do. All really powerful people do, because the things that want to feed on power are attracted to them. With the maiden, a new relationship blossoms. And then the wolf, beware who you trust. All right, so I think that you are getting a little bit of a warning around with codependency. There is something called codependent transference, where a lot of twin flame connections are actually a form of codependent transference. And it's not a popular thing to hear, but unfortunately it happens to be the truth. There is a spiritual component to it. It's not about weakness. It's not about character flaws. This is the twin flame energy, the push and pull energy as well. What you're being warned of is be very careful and be hypervigilant around your own process for connection, because that's the area that they will start testing next. If it has been a long journey, this is a dark night of the soul energy. And this is, again, your deepest desires constrain you. Let them go and clear your mind. You have to be aware of that. You have to be aware of that going forward, is that it will try to manifest again when you start connecting with people. And it's not always a sign that the connection isn't healthy, but that rather you have to confront, this is a card of confronting, the unhealthy tendencies that an attachment problem may have caused you. And it's, again, I need you to understand, it's nothing you did wrong. It's something in a formative experience that damaged a part of your energy. And so it's a form of injury. And for some people, it's just kind of a permanent injury. And you just have to stay on top of it. It's like anything else that you have a vulnerability for. Like if you know that whenever you drink red wine, you're going to end up with a headache, you avoid red wine. And instead you choose something else. And that's a little bit what relationships are like going forward. Will you always have a tendency to start like losing yourself a little bit too much to the idea of the relationship rather than the actuality of it, which is really what happens with this attachment energy? Perhaps. But if you're really in touch with your feelings, which is what this long journey has been about, then you will be able to overcome it. Separately from that, because that's the only warning you're getting here, and there will always be warnings, even in good readings, But there are big happy changes coming in your life. And this is a repeating message that I genuinely need people to hear, because there are so many people who got so many readings, and like not just from me, from all over the place, where they were told they were going to succeed, they're going to succeed, there are all these blessings and abundance, and they're sitting around practically poverty stricken and all by themselves and wondering, like, was it all just a lie? No, it wasn't a lie. We have to heal for success to actually make us happy, because success is freaking stressful. There are a lot of demands on your time. You have to figure out where you want to put your energy, what you're going to prioritize, and sometimes even what you're working for. Because when the opportunities to make lots of money come in, you have to ask yourself, do I really need the money or do I need the time? It's making wise choices. That's what this entire journey has been about. And there is a vulnerability around how you conduct relationships that you're just being made aware of. Hey, Destiny of the Lotus Hope Blossom just flipped, which is apparently much fortune is told, your purpose is not of this world. If you've been on a long journey, it's just because you have an important purpose. And important, that doesn't mean being a star, by the way. Not everybody wants that kind of attention. It means that something that you are meant to do adds to a fabric that needs to be woven for this world to get better. And that's what that means. You could literally be a janitor and have an incredibly important purpose. Literally. And that is not just, it's just that there is, we don't have a good relationship with fame. Oh my God, as a society, we really have a sick relationship with fame. We forget the humanity of famous figures and like only treat them as like avatars of something that other people want. So there are a lot of targets of envy. They close themselves off, and so they become disconnected from other people. And then we treat them like very differently, as if their problems aren't the same as ours. And so fame is not something to try and achieve for the sake of fame, because that is a double-edged sword, if ever there was one. Sometimes attention and focus, and I almost want to say an exalted status, will happen for people who deliver messages, or people who have messages for others. But it's always very important to remember that the quality of your life should be happy. And happiness is not usually found in bank accounts. It is found within. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't ever have nice things or plenty of money. It's just to remember that part of your soul's purpose is to retain a balance, so that every part of your life retains that balance. Your romantic relationships, your friendships, your relationship to work. And as I said, that's been something they've been trying to teach me for like 2 years, where I really fought against it, because I am prone to overwork. And that, we are meant to live in a state of balance. Oh well, and then Empress status. This is the screw it type of energy. Apparently you'll be living in the high cotton. I don't really get an oh well feeling from any of these cards. I might have just pushed a little too far with that one. I do want to add something that is kind of coming off of them, though. Your greatest happiness is likely to come to you in ways and in areas that like you kind of don't think about right now. Like in the past, if it was, shiny cars or big houses or, owning a particular painting, then you really might find that you just feel, as things lighten up and brighten up and change for the better, you really might find that your greatest source of happiness is in feeling connected. And if you're in my collective and you're checking out this reading, chances are you've had a difficult journey, because a lot is asked of people who are given a lot of gifts. And my collective tends to be very psychic people and very magically gifted people. Ascended Masters just took the leap. They really do have to ready you to have more power available to you to kind of, it's weird because the phrase straight and narrow just came through, that like you have to heal so that when all of your power basically comes to you, all of your success, that you remain guided by your inner compass, by what you really wish to do, that it's not about self-aggrandizement or gain for the sake of gain, but rather that, doing something within this world that will help repair your spirit and others. And that's really why things can get delayed, particularly if you're like emotionally and traumatically wounded. Everybody kind of wants that thing the balm for the soul. And initially, like accolades or money, they can make you feel better. But it's a short-term anesthetic for pain if you do not heal the underlying wound. That's what you've been doing. With letting go, all right. And then friends and colleagues. And then new supportive connections. The letting go energy is the, oh, okay. Allowing things to take the shape they are meant to. If you've been super, super, super frustrated on a long-term journey, it is possible that like you really were fighting against the shape that things were meant to take, that you wanted to get to your destination, and I don't even want to say you're not enjoying the journey. There's something on these cards that it's like, that feels like an unkind way to put it, because eventually you will see the merit with enough time and distance to the struggles that are indicated in all of these delays. And it's okay if you don't see them right now. Group number 1, beautiful big things are coming towards you. Big changes, and like it kind of almost looks like sudden success. And you're not going to be like, don't be surprised if it's utterly surprising to you how it happens. Meaning, don't worry about how it's coming. You have a compulsive problem where you get fixated on things. And that is really what codependency can cause in people. People liken it to an addiction, and it is a form of addiction, but it comes out in compulsive behaviors and need-based behaviors, where you need to know the answers, you need to feel secure, you need. And it can be about needing or wanting love, but for the most part, it really is about seeking security and stability in unstable areas, such as in relationships, because that will always rely on the other person's actions and choices, which are their own. And so really owning our own choices and knowing that sometimes it comes time to leave. Sometimes it comes time to shut some things down. And some relationships really will continue. But you are being told that you're a little bit at risk as you go forward in relationships, and to keep a close eye on how much focus and how much weight you're putting on it. Because the thing is that when you're involved in a spiritual journey and you have invited guides and ancestors into your life, into your path, into asking them to intercede to help you, like they'll throw up roadblocks when things start to go wrong. And that's not a threat, it's just a reminder. If you have been on the length of a journey that was indicated in that first pile, stick with it. Stick with ye old program that you have put together to keep yourself well and to keep yourself in a healthy energy around everything that you do, because that was very much not just about romantic relationships. I didn't have a 2 of Cups or a figure anywhere, but I did get a warning on codependency, and to remember that don't overcommit your energy to one area of your life. Boy, that's the easiest way to put it. Don't overcommit your energy of one area of your life. You're meant to have passions, you're meant to have pursuits. I will tell you something that happened in my own healing journey when I realized it's like, oh, I'm better, huh? I am like, even though it went away for a long time as I was really, really depressed and very, very traumatized by a bad marriage, but I'm actually a really, really good cook. But I didn't want to cook for a very, very long time. And about 4 months ago, I was just in the kitchen and I just started I wanted to bake again. And so I've been being very creative in the kitchen again, and I realized that was what actually first connected me to magic, was that I started cooking. I taught myself how to cook as a little kid, and I had almost no supervision, so, just glad I didn't burn anything down. But that was one of the things that always connected me. Creativity will always connect you to your own magic. And it's rarely found simply in work, because obligation changes the nature and the energy of almost anything. You always have to have a creative pursuit outside of what you're doing for work in order to be able to keep your balance. All right, group number 1, that was your message. Look forward to your big happy changes. Keep in mind that you're not standing on thin ice, you're standing on a very well paved road, but that you need to be aware that every now and then you will still run into challenges, almost as if to make you flex those muscles to keep that process engaged for you so that you can continue to be healthy. Take care. Be well. If you want to book me for a private reading, at therisingmoon.com. Don't forget to look for my podcast, Logical Magic, Examining Esoterica. I'll be linking to the attachment episode for this one. Welcome back. If you chose pile number 2, then this is your reading. This is a wild card reading. I did shuffle for these, and these are the cards that came out. Pile number 2, your reading is about you're ready, which is about new things coming to you and the things that you're ready to achieve after sometimes a difficult journey. We have the Tarot of the Divine bringing you your predictive spread. Hey guys, please don't forget, if you want to book me for a private reading, you can do so at therisingmoon.com. That's my website. There's a link to it in the description box down below. It's the only way to book me. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button if you would, please. If you hit the post bell notification, you'll also know every time I post a video. Let's get going with our infinity spread here. These are angel messages and the angel answer cards were the ones that provided these, what the reading's actually going to be about. What's it going to be about? What are you ready for? Let's see. Whoa, 10 of Cups in the upright. Well, that's emotional fulfillment and happiness. It can be long-term partnerships. It can be family as well. It can be marriage. I like where this is going. With the King of Wands in the upright, which is a manifestation energy. It's the start of new things. It can be a fire sign energy, which is Leo, Sagittarius, or Aries. I don't really get a person vibe from this. I just have like happy changes energy on this one with the Hierophant in reverse. Okay, so the Hierophant in reverse is a card of non-traditional thinking, of thinking outside the box. In the upright, it's the card of mentorship, of higher learning, of traditional marriage, of government. In reverse, it is, again, doing things in your own way, kind of making things happen on your terms as well. I like the Hierophant in reverse. It can be about the end of a marriage. I don't see any dissolution energy here at all. With the Page of Pentacles in reverse, for me, that is one of the indications for a daughter, by the way. I like this one. It is about like having learned lessons and releasing energies around them. It can be more lessons coming to you. Let's see what my underlying issues cards talk about. I have the 8 of Wands in the upright, which is travel, progress, communication. It can be falling in love. I have the Star in reverse, which is disappointed hopes. It can be something just beyond reach, but it can also be the beginning of a new hopeful cycle. In the question that is asked, the current question in a tarot reading really determines how you will also look at the cards. And this is about what you're ready to achieve. The Sun in the upright, which is healing and happiness and positivity. And then I have the 7 of Swords in the upright, which one of the meanings of this is actually it's an addict's card, by the way. But it can be lies, deceit, manipulation. It can be thievery. But it's also a strategy card. And I'm as likely to see it as strategy as I almost anything else. It's also the lone wolf card sometimes. The only thing, you're ready to kind of take on the world is what this energy is saying. These are new beginnings cards. The underlying issue on the Hierophant in reverse, which is like essentially a march to the beat of your own drummer. The only thing that I've got is like a need to be aware that like some adversarial forces might come at you as you begin to succeed more. And like come at you, that sounds really threatening. It's not. It's, remember, if you don't feed a beast, it doesn't grow. And so the best, I'm particularly thinking about online interactions. The best course of action is just to delete and not address. It really is. It's just if you won't fan the flames on something, usually the fire dies out, and that's something to move forward with. And so it's a little bit both of that. You're able to defend yourself honorably without harming anybody else. And honest to goodness, sometimes the not doing anything energy is going to be the things that helps the most. And just to understand that what other people say and do really is about them rather than anything that you're doing. New beginnings in your life on multiple fronts is what it looks like. This has very much got a greater happiness energy around it. And then a cautionary word about the beginning of new things. And that to remember particularly that like human beings can be drawn to people who are successful in a way that I guess just don't be surprised if people come out of the woodwork as things happen for you. Love without condition. Unconditional love is a very important concept in spiritual journeys. I always object to it in romantic relationships. You need to have a standard for your treatment. If somebody isn't meeting it, then they either need to go and heal so that they can, or they need to no longer be part of your life. But you can love people who aren't in your life any longer. Love yourself and others unconditionally, but understand that unconditional love is not unconditional access, and that sometimes people belong on the other side of a barrier or a boundary. And that's just what I've got here. That's just what I've got here. I don't think it's anybody from the past coming back. I really don't get that vibe on it. But what I really do get is that separate the idea of access and unconditional love. Because sometimes we can love unconditionally because we can see like where somebody is damaged and hurt, and like potentially, since there's an addict's card here, I just want you to keep that part in mind. I just want you to keep that part in mind, is that people suffer sometimes from substance abuse disorder where they try to medicate away their feelings. That's incredibly common. And a lot of people struggle under that because they understand that they're not addicts. It's like, no, I can quit whatever I want and never think of it again. It's like, yeah, but you can still have substance abuse disorder. And it almost looks like you've suffered from that in the past, but understand it now. There's just this weird cautionary tale around not engaging on something. And that's the only thing that, and it really does seem like you're ready for more happiness and success is what's coming through. Seek your answers within, and I want one more on this, with the source of all. You need a really, please, oh, by the way, this is one of the cards for protection. You've got it in 2 different areas. Please don't forget to do some form of spiritual protection every day. It really is genuinely something that will just keep you in a healthier energy. You're ready for more happiness. Apparently it's manifesting. There is a slight caution. Let's go ahead and take your 2 outcome cards here as well. With the Magician in reverse, which is a manipulator's card, and then a crossroads energy. Be careful. Be careful. It looks like there's more happiness, more expansiveness. This is a very expansive energy, but it also looks like the first kind of people that come towards you are ones that you need to practice discernment around who truly belongs in your life and who doesn't, because that's multiple warnings. I don't like the Magician in reverse. The Magician in reverse is a manipulator. This is a manipulator's card as well. You've learned your lesson on trying to see people clearly. Please carry it forward. It's weird because it's not about not having trust for other people. It's about understanding that other people are dealing with their own crap. And sometimes the way that they do that is in, trying to graft off of other people. I just kind of have that weird feeling on this, is that just be aware of that. Just be aware of that. It's kind of like, make sure that you take the time to truly know somebody, even if you click with them very, very strongly. There's just this thing with powerful people that they attract a form of, I almost want to say vampire, people who try to take from them and feed off of them. You're being warned about that. And that's the only warning that you've got on this. But new beginnings are coming in a way that leans into your gifts and into your strengths. My body is my home. I must love it immeasurably. By gently touching my skin, my laugh lines, and my scars, I appreciate my body fully. I am beautiful inside and out. Listen, I'm always a keyword reader, and I frankly kind of don't like the way most of those are worded. Self-care is a very important thing. Healthy practices lead to a healthy life. And you're just being given a little bit of a heads up on seeking your answers within. Listen, even if you don't like to meditate, you gotta meditate sometimes. Figure out what works for you. I will do a podcast on the different types of meditation as well. Powerful start, I really get that feeling. And then boundaries. Okay. Okay. Hey, listen, this can be a predator's energy. If you have been working really hard to make something happen in your life, it's happening. It is happening. Don't look for too many details on them, because unfortunately people are really strong manifestors, which you have the King of Wands, which means you have some manifesting gifts. Please remember, it brings out a certain type of person, and they can be very charming at first. just have a rule around how much access you grant anybody. Even if you're like, we got on like a house on fire, we were like peanut butter and jelly. Remember, some people are always on their best behavior for about the first 6 months of any relationship. Take things very slowly, and do not grant special access to people that you have just appeared in your life. Even if you're like, you're so special, I just feel this tremendous connection. Please remember that it needs to apply to everybody, and anybody who has a real interest in being your friend or being your lover or being in your life will be willing to take things very slowly. I've just got this kind of, particularly people who have addiction issues, try to use other people, because it's a degrading spirit attachment. It's a form of disease. And it changes really good people into like their worst version. I have this like, be careful. You're ready to start again and to have like everything, everything that was taken away will be returned. And it's like, oh, it most certainly, assuredly has not. It's coming to you in a form that will make you happier. But that as much as you are protected, you have to maintain your boundaries, and only you can take the slow approach every single relationship slowly. It's the easiest way to keep it healthy. It really genuinely is. It doesn't mean you keep people at an arm's distance forever and ever. It just means you're getting a little warning here, and that there are big happy changes in your life with all of this. And by the way, that was the first message of the message for the first pile. But that you're ready, and you need to be cautioned as well. Because when exciting things start happening, it can be like, yay, the flow has started. Be careful. There's just a cautionary vibe with this. Heal the ouch. Intention. Wizard of awareness, that is the people are meant to come and go energy, and then balancing act as well. Listen, kind of what I've got is that like, you've got this weird I have arrived energy. But with that arrival, just be careful. I've just got this, people trying to take energy from you. And then the other one, again, like the best response sometimes is simply no response. People will try and get a rise out of you. And if you don't rise, then they go on to the next target. And that's the thing to remember. The thinking man. That's a logic energy. What else do we have here? 1, 2, 3. What else? What's coming up for pile number 2, please? 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm going to go into this because I think it's prevalent. Yeah, we have cornucopia, and then all tied up with the garden and the gate and happy family. All tied up is a boundary card. Cornucopia is a tendency towards wishful thinking sometimes, although it can be dreams coming true. I need you to be aware of this, and like, it's not to make you paranoid, it's to remember that until we repair something, it repeats. And I just have like it trying to come to you again, this weird like attachment energy, this degrading energy. And that like questioning other people's motives is just going to be the thing that keeps you safe. And not in a everybody sucks way, just like this person seems great, but I have only known them for 2 months. So why don't I check back in with that feeling at about the 6 months mark and see where we are? Because people let the cracks show. They let the cracks show. And again, my body, powerful star, and boundaries, that's a little bit like everybody's going to want a piece of you. And you need to remember that. And honest to goodness, it's not about judging other people, it's about seeing other people realistically. There's a lot of dark energy in this world, and some people choose dark paths, and some people are just like darkly manipulative. And I've got that weird vibe here. And you don't need to be afraid of it, because everything else is great. It's just, my gosh, do they want you to hear that? Burnout, which is take care with your health. Your hard work will see results. Communication. And then future with love life. Be careful. And then surprise. Tough and trying times. Be careful. Be careful. Everything looks really good, but I almost, and I'm sorry, because do I want this to be a wholly positive reading? I want this to be a wholly positive reading. Having said that, it's sometimes not humanly possible to only have good news, and it's better to be forewarned and forearmed. Be super careful. If you have resolved an energy, it still keeps trying to come back to you. It's just what really keeps you safe is recognizing it. And that's the only thing I've got here that's of any concern to me. Let's go here. Success carries with it its own burdens. And I know I've given this reading on multiple occasions. It's just that this was a reading I was very much guided to. It's like there's no barriers any longer. There's no barriers any longer. And that's just kind of what you need to remember, is that as things begin to happen, all of the work that you put in building your ability to be self-loving and self-caring, like the wrong person can come along and introduce doubt. And that's what they always do, is they kind of weasel their way in and make you feel like you're perfect. And it's called narcissistic abuse. It's one of the things that true narcissists will do, that they follow a pattern. And you just need to be aware of it. 1, 2, 3, and 4 is that if you've had a history with difficult partners, with emotionally abusive partners, or with narcissists, understand that those type of people are going to be attracted to you, and that you need to have your 20/20 vision engaged on your relationships. We have the elements. The elements of fire, air, earth, and water combine to create powerful protective boundaries. There's boundary. Spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional. I want one more on this with the tree of life. True wisdom and making good choices in life. You are being really, well, that one I wanted out too, the festival. Creates an energetic blueprint for a fantastic party or event, which can simply be happy, exciting things happening. Listen, you've got a warning on being with, like, this is a crossroads energy to, like, reject a manipulative person in your life. And you need to understand something. If you've resolved that energy in your romantic life, where you're like, no, that one's taken care of. I have made my decisions and I know what I'm doing in that area. It does try. It does try to come to you in different forms, because it's a form of spirit attachment and it's just not going to quit. And the thing is that, will it keep trying throughout the course of your life? Eventually. Like, you have to, it seems like people are in a period of stasis as they resolve the tendency towards unhealthy connections. And then nothing was happening. Like nothing. Oh my gosh, so much nothing. It was like, it was a nothing mart. There was nothing in all shapes, forms, and sizes. You could have as much nothing as you wanted. And now we have the High Priestess of Earth, which is the Queen of Pentacles energy with confidence. And now what really kind of is, you might think, well, that part of my life is done because I've spent so much time doing my stuff, healing my stuff, learning my lessons. It'll come at you again. It'll come at you again. If you've been in kind of almost like a healing house or a halfway house for emotional recovery where not a lot was happening, which, our guides will do for us. And does it feel awful while it's happening? A little bit. Yeah, it does. Because it's like, will anything interesting ever happen in my life again? It's for your own good. But the action and the excitement and the you're ready for more, because that's what you're ready means, comes with perils that, like, everybody has to face. And it looks like it's in multiple areas. It's weird, I kind of don't have it in friendships, but I definitely have it in financial circles, and then I have it in, it looks like some form of business area. And again, be careful on social media. Really, the best course of action is to just, like, don't even read the comment, just delete it. It's not really about you. It's really seldom about you. Now, listen, there's a proviso with this. Every now and then, someone will make a comment on something where, like, I'll go back and I'll be like, oh, I can see your point there. I'll phrase that more carefully next time. But, that's, wait and see the validity of a comment. Just don't assume that because you're being attacked, you deserve to be attacked. Most of the time, it's like, you must be really angry because you run around attacking people. And, don't say that. Just, stay on your path. The best advice I can give to anybody on a healing journey is stay in your lane. And it does take a while to actually succeed in any healing art forms. It's meant to stability, earth spirit stability. I like where you're going. Ooh, Crystal Cave, trust. What do we have? One more. Fire spirit, energy. Bee spirit, prosperity. Okay, well, I just, let's make sure that you take to heart the idea that, hey, listen, particularly when things start being exciting again. And I'm not a long haul reader. I think I said this in the first pile. This is, all supposed to manifest before the end of the year. And this is a timeless reading. All of my readings are timeless. So think like a 90-day period. that you just have to be a little bit cognizant of. It doesn't mean everything is perfect. We have to have balance in everything, which does mean some struggle, which does mean some challenge. We think we want these easy lives, but man, there are some really rich people who never have challenges that they have to meet, and they're so miserable. I think that's the thing that people really don't understand about people who have tremendous wealth, is that they're not a lot happier. They just have more stuff, and they have fewer concerns. And that's true. That's true. But it's not that they're happier. So anyway, it's important to have some challenges in life. And I don't mean financial ones. I just mean challenges. So that you can keep your ability to problem solve. It's a strategy card as well. Let's see what else we have. The Talisman, you're destined to succeed. Medusa, watch this one. Jealousy leads to a downfall. It's an attachment. One, the wyvern. Your secrets are safe. Hey, listen, that Medusa card, it's honest to goodness, this is a everybody gonna want a piece of you type of energy as this energy comes in. And like, you just have to be really discerning about like who you're handing the cake cutter to, you know? And that's really, group number 2, this is a pretty straightforward energy. Take really good care of yourself. Understand that power attracts people, and in all forms, in all walks. It's not just romantic relationships, but I really do have kind of this ability to connect to your own guidance again in a way that I kind of feel like you just haven't had. Like you feel like you've been flying blind for a while, and that you need to be very careful with people. And I will tell you why. It's not because you're weak. It's actually because you're really, 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 really strong. And so you take on other people's burdens easily. And as you succeed, there is a type of person that will insinuate themselves into your life, specifically because they kind of feel that about you, suspect that about you. And again, nothing draws a form of predator more than obvious success. So group number 2, you're ready. Success is on deck for you. You have multiple cautionary tales. And please remember that if you're not getting specifics on what beautiful, happy things are happening, many happy things will be happening. It's just that maybe find your way back towards letting life surprise you in a good way. Because during a healing journey, we often seek a lot of answers because, man, we need reassurance. But that as you're healed, you want to know less and less about the future, like more and more about the challenges, because it's like, well, what do I need to prepare for? But less and less about tell me the hyper specifics of what beautiful things are going to happen, because there will always be details that are left out, but also because it's kind of like skipping to the end of a novel. When you know the resolution on everything, it takes a little bit of interest, delight, and joy out of the journey. And that's not to say that there isn't a place for predictive tarot. There absolutely is, but I really am a self-empowerment and healing reader primarily. And I encourage other people to view tarot as a healing tool rather than one that's going to give you a cheat sheet on life, because it's always going to miss details. There will always be things that still surprise you. So if you use it to try and heal and understand yourself, then you can handle those surprises, the ones that are like, more like, oh no, you're up to something, you'll be able to handle. And the ones that bring you delight, you won't have spoiled it. And you had a lot of happiness in that reading, group number 2. More happiness, but with it comes the risk of people who they're jealous of it, and so they're trying to basically take their piece. And you just have to be super discerning about who gets a seat at your table, okay? That was your reading, group number 2. Take care, be well. If you want to book me for a private reading, at therisingmoon.com. Don't forget to look for my podcast, Logical Magic, Examining Esoterica. Welcome back. If you chose pile number 3, this is your reading, putting the number 3 over there so people can easily fast forward to their reading, but there are timestamps in the description box down below. I did shuffle for these angel answer cards, and that's going to be what your reading is about. And this particular one is trust. And so I don't know which direction this one's going in. The other 2 I did, But trust. We're going to find out what's going on with that. Let's get going here. Conley Tarot bringing you the infinity spread that I use for almost all YouTube readings. Let's get going for pile number 3. What is this trust issue about? What's the trust going on here? Hey guys, before I get started, don't forget you can book me for a private reading at therisingmoon.com. It's the only way to book me. There's a link to my website in the description box down below. And please don't forget to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. If you hit the post bell notification, you'll know every time I post a video. And I have a podcast called Logical Magic, Examining Esoterica. Let's get going with your reading. Okay, 7 of Wands in reverse is a surrender energy. Oh my goodness. By the way, like surrendering to the flow of the universe and trusting that everything comes in perfect timing. One of the most difficult parts of a spiritual journey, particularly for people who've been in survival mode for a long time, it's like, I can't surrender because they think it has to do with not doing anything. That like they're no longer making choices. It's just that you'll be guided to the correct choices and the correct actions. And that like, I know I'm very guilty of this. I get tunnel vision. I'm like, I want to do this and I'll be ignoring all of the things that are trying to get in my way, which is one of the most triggering things I can do. The surrender energy, once you've achieved it, man, do all of the, like this, the stuck energy gets removed. Wow, every single pile has gotten this. The Sun, which is the start of something new and positive and beautiful, and it's the most positive card in the deck. It is the start of all things healing and new beautiful things coming. It is, again, the birth of something new. It can be literal babies, by the way. On this one, it's the only time I've ever seen like an indication of multiple births, by the way. It's not normally, I love this tarot deck. It has it's Rider-Waite inspired, but it has very slightly different energy. For instance, the 7 of Wands in the upright is more effortless in this one. It's somebody who's holding the high ground, taking the high ground. In reverse like that, it really is like the struggles coming to an end. With the 9 of Swords in the upright, which is fears sometimes, it can be sleeplessness, it's restlessness. The 9 of Swords is one of those cards that, like, it's hard because it can be about, like, learning how to grieve appropriately, weeping, allowing things to pass. Again, this is a weirdly positive one because this person is walking forward well-equipped. And that is not often how I see the 9 of Swords, but there's very much, with the Sun before it, it really is like you've been given the tools to deal with any obstacles that come your way and to trust your own judgment, but to take time to make decisions. Never make snap decisions, okay? Seriously. It's very important, particularly when doing things like replying to texts or emails that are in any way upsetting, is like, don't do anything for 24 hours to see if it's a feeling that will pass. Because this can be simply a card of upset as well. With the Knight of Cups in reverse, which is one of those cards that for me means self-love. It means like really enjoying your own emotional experience. I know that for other readers, they can see it as disappointment and love. I just kind of don't. A couple of the cards, like really, everybody develops their own relationship to their cards. And for me, that really is. You're not going to feel lonely anymore. You're not going to feel lonely anymore. Like all of you had to go on this really difficult journey of self-understanding. And with like no offense whatsoever, like resistance, because we all do it, is one of the things that prolongs something. Yeah, 10 of Swords in the upright, which is a spiritual enlightenment card. It can be something being done and over. I love this deck because it does contain a different energy. The swords are pointing away from her. This is a protective aura around her. It's really about spiritual enlightenment. Page of Pentacles in the upright, learning a lesson, the start of new things in the 3D. It's one of the cards for spell work. It's just, you've got a lot of new beginning energies here. The 9 of Swords, again, it really does feel like being equipped to handle things and to prioritize self in a way that I don't think you ever did. In fact, there we have it with the 4 of Swords, which is something being put to rest. Fears being put to rest. With the Chariot in reverse, which is something being brought to an end as well. I almost feel like it's We're going to take your, 3 of Cups in the upright. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 7 of Cups in the upright, which is things being up in the air. It can be spell work. It can be fantasy and illusion. And then the 2 of Pentacles in the upright, which is about things coming out in a balanced state. I like this energy. The trust thing, you know, honest to goodness, this message is you don't need to worry about trusting other people. You can trust yourself. If you can trust yourself to make the choices that are best for you, if you can trust yourself to tap into your guidance, not for, you know, show me what I want to see. What about this area that I want? What about that area about what I want? What about what I want? But rather, what do I need to know? For everybody who's psychic, I had to tell this to a fellow reader not that long ago. It's like, you know, the answers you get for yourself are usually not accurate. Like, you're on a need-to-know basis with that, and you will know the difference. But if, like, you're asking about stuff a lot, and particularly in areas that it's kind of like, don't worry about that part. Like, you're not going to get the right answers sometimes. But when you're trying to make a decision, because the 7 of Cups really can be about things being up in the air, please do not disregard the idea of meditation. And I have a bunch of people in my collective who just don't like it because they have super active minds. Half of them, more than half, are trauma survivors, and meditation is really hard to achieve because it's like, I cannot sit with my eyes closed and be relaxed. That, you know, historically has been dangerous. Meditation looks different for every single person, and I told the last group this as well. I will do a podcast on the different types of meditation and how to achieve it. I haven't yet, but please understand there's a process for you. There really is a process for you. It does not have to look like other people. One of the things that I do is I walk a great deal. Like, I walk almost a disturbing amount sometimes in order to ground. But please remember that don't act in haste. Whenever you need guidance, engage in a process that you have designed for you to get your answers, and to delay acting on things until you're in a balanced state. And, like, with absolutely no offense meant, that appears to be something that is taking you a little while to learn. That it's like, you know, I have a false sense of urgency because of some emotional upset. And what I really need to do when I'm upset is put the brakes on and wait until I'm not. Take care of being upset. There is a rare situation that needs immediate action on it. And that's what I think is missing in your ability to just trust your own guidance, is that it's taken you a while to learn that it's like, if I'm upset, if I'm anxious, if I'm angry, I don't do anything about anything big. I chill. I take care of myself. I have a meal. I do whatever it is to balance. I go for a walk. I get in touch with the ways that will make me feel better in order to get a better outcome. And that's the thing that you need to learn as well, is to be able to trust your guidance, is pause. Pause and reflect. Allow a false sense of urgency to leave you and your ability to trust your own guidance, and others, by the way. I had somebody leave a comment on a video, and this is not calling them out in any way, I just really genuinely felt for the poor person, because things can happen, particularly in the course of relationships, that can damage your ability to trust so much that you're like, I'm just never going to trust another person, am I? And the person was actually saying that nothing in this world could ever restore their trust. Now, it really isn't, we have to learn how to extend trust appropriately. And those situations almost always come from having accidentally given our trust wholeheartedly to somebody who is not worthy of it. But that doesn't mean all people aren't. And that's something to remember as well. And if you're struggling with trusting, honest to goodness, examine the role of the choices you make and how you approach it, and whether or not you're going to heal. Because you can say, I'll never ever trust anybody again, I'll never have another relationship again, I'll never have friends again, I'll never do this again, and it will be true because you're not allowing yourself to. But if you say, I'm going to heal and see how I feel, and I believe that at least I can get to the point where I so fully trust my own judgment that it really does not matter if other people are trustworthy, because I'm going to spot whether or not they're trustworthy. And that's what you can restore, is the ability to, when we give our heart wholeheartedly to somebody, and I'm always going to use myself as an example because that way nobody else is called out on it. My ex-husband, who I've referred to before, half of that stuff is a little bit on me because I was trusting him when I shouldn't have been. Like, there were red flags that, because I trusted him so much, I didn't see a red flag. I just thought it was his quirky personality. And so a lot of the ways in which he was able to fully betray me are because, like, I did not question his motives. I did not question his actions. I had trust for somebody who was demonstrating that I shouldn't. He was demonstrating that I shouldn't, and I didn't see it that way. And that is not to blame me for my own abuse or suffering, but it is to say that if I want a different outcome going forward, I need to keep that in mind. For this particular pile, keep that in mind for yourself as well. No matter what's happened in the past, you can fully restore yourself. You just may be wiser in who you extend that trust to, and that you'll allow yourself more time. Trust the pace of things, even though, like, it may be a little maddening sometimes. Our spirit guides are never out to get us. They always want the best for us, and they're always working in conjunction with our highest self. I have birth. Ooh, everybody got this one. Universal energy brings you opportunity and possibility. Dragonfly, this came out for another group as well. I'm going to shuffle a little bit, like they're not in that same order, so. Birth and Dragonfly, which is have confidence during this time of great joy, renewal, and connection to spirit. Please concentrate on connection to spirit. However you need to do it. Honest to goodness, whatever it takes for you. If you like get into a meditative space while exercising or cooking, that is as legitimate as sitting down and oming your butt off for 2 hours. Everybody's ability to access their internal guidance system is different, and everybody has to engage in a process where they find it. If you are prone to emotional upheaval, please understand that you need to take care of your feelings first in the emotional upheaval, and to never act in a definitive way until you're in a calm state. There are exceptions, so I said never, and I was like, nope, no, never say never. If your house is on fire, you're going to put it out even though it's upsetting. Like, there are certain situations where emergent care is needed or definitive action, but stop, take a moment and ask yourself, do I absolutely have to deal with this right now? Or should I maybe wait until I'm calmer? And you'll get better outcomes as soon as you start saying, no, almost everything I can wait till I'm calmer. And if you don't know how to calm yourself down, that's the stuff that you're learning. Key, new beginnings, directions, and adventures await for those ready to let go of the past. That's a little bit what what trusting is about, is letting go of the past does not predict the future, particularly when you've taken the steps to heal the crap from the past. Instead, you have changed how you approach you and others in a way that is more likely to give you meaningful, healthy, and happy outcomes. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3. What else do we got here? 1, 2. This is the soul helper. So when you change yourself for the better, your outcomes become better. And it does require that, ego death, that, taking a look at, who you are within your own life to really be able to improve your outcomes, because we all participate in our outcomes. It's not blaming anybody. Oh my goodness, it really does not make you, that's your own fault. That's not what it means. It means that somebody else, if they intentionally injured you, that's always on them, that's always on their karma. But if your trust still suffers going forward, the way to repair that is to understand your own emotions so that you can cope with them, so that you make clear-headed decisions, and so that you are acting from a place of self-love and self-understanding to bring a punishing cycle to an end. Okay? We have live playfully and with a light heart. Listen to the voice of your inner child. Ooh, success and happiness are coming. This has been a fully, absolutely delightful reading, by the way. Like, absolutely every pile has been good and happy things are inbound in the lives of the people of this collective. And you will know you're in this collective if that is like becoming like the dawn breaking on a dark night. All cycles do end. Some of them are long. And if you've been in a long punishing cycle but trying your butt off, understand that when it ends, even more comes to you because there's a counterbalancing energy. So if you've been going through the poo for nigh on forever, understand that the periods of happiness following that are going to be that long as well. There's a backswing on every pendulum. And if you've been going through the Badlands forever, when the dawn breaks, you stay there. Now, there are still challenges, and you have to be aware of them. And that is why you need to be in a balanced state before you make plans, before you commit to things, before you act on things. That is your proviso on how do you maintain happiness, health, and your ability to retain trust for others and in self. Because realistically, we can never control another person. We just can't. Now, I'm a magician. Could I technically? Sure, but it wouldn't last. That never does. Unless you're controlling somebody who is like a really, really weak-willed person, which most of people, you don't want somebody around who's a weak-willed person after a while. But really, what it genuinely is about is being able to understand that you have a greater role in your own life than you may be understanding. Meaning that, like, it does not matter if other people are flawed. They're not doing their work. They're making poor choices. They've given into their dark side. They can do that. They're allowed to. Everybody chooses their own path. They will come back and have multiple lifetimes. Weirdly, there's a theory where you just come back and have the same lifetime over and over again until you, like, we're in Groundhog's Day. I don't know how valid that one is. I say with trepidation because, like, yeah, I'd rather not ride that roller coaster again to the details. But to understand that that part doesn't matter if you have honed your own abilities to be not mistrustful of others, but appropriately trusting. And that's where that story with my ex-husband came in. I really had to admit that it's like, you know, that, like, past a certain point, why in the world was I ignoring, like, so many sketchy things that this person said? It really was a case of, like, well, if you want better outcomes going forward, maybe don't ever do that again. Like, as I'm talking to me, is really honest to goodness. It's like, well, all right, everything can be wonderful and rosy in your life, but, like, one of the things that it will rely on is keeping a discerning eye on your own choices. We have elementals, nature spirits, the four elements. That is a grounding energy. It's also an ascended masters. It's also the guardians who guard the four corners, who are the central figures of celestial and angelic magic, and they are four archangels. So there's a lot of angelic power around this, and man, do they ever want you to understand that really your ability to be safe going forward does not rely on the exterior world, but rather your discernment of the people who approach you in that exterior world. All right, I have personal guide, guardian angel, spirit family. We're going to go for one more on this. Conscious steps, considered action, looking forward. Hey, yo, was that not just the message that I gave over and over again, which is considered action? Don't react from a place of upset. If you're not feeling calm and considering everything, you're going to miss stuff. And sometimes in our desire for companionship, for love, or even success, we can be ignoring big red flags to try and get the outcomes that we want. It never works out in the long term. And so it is not about, like, putting other people on trial, but understanding that, you know, don't be crushed by other people behaving in a disappointing fashion. Everybody has their own work to go do. And to really only fully invest your trust in people who have put in the work in proving who they are over a long term. It is hard, but in new relationships, withhold enough trust that you're safe, and you'll be safe going forward. And will you ever fully extend it to somebody? Yeah, but it takes a good long while. We have sorry we're closed. Hell yes. If they were sorry, they never would have done it in the first place. And then hell yes. Apparently knowing what you need makes it all right. You have very good guidance systems within. You can trust your guides, you can trust yourself. If you're not there yet and you're seeing this pile at a time where it's like, that sounds like an impossibility, keep trying. And keep telling yourself, I will heal, I can heal. Nobody else defines me but me. Realistically, there's peril in this world in facing other people. Live playfully with a light heart, believe in good things, and then success and happiness are coming. And a little bit of an underline on that happiness. The sun is the happiest card there is. Black magic, which is about being safe. stalker, and then real love. Okay, everybody else got this message, and yours is about trust, which is to remember that, like, as you, no matter what's happening in your world, particularly if you're successful, predators come out of the woodwork to try and prey on people who have historically been very trusting and loving towards their partners. And it comes through friendships, it comes through business contracts. Literally everybody got that message. Please don't sweat that one. Let's get one last draw from the Infinity Oracle. Is there anything else for pile number 3? What you really need to hear from this is that as hard as it is, there is going to be a time period where you understand the worth of this entire journey. And if it doesn't feel that way right now, try to trust that it will. Every season changes, every wheel turns. Even if, particularly if it's been a really long, hard period. Remember, once that energy is cleared, once that cycle is cleared, we're in a cycle, then more and more beautiful things will become possible. And will the same sorts of tests come towards you? Yes. Yes, they will, because it's just part of being a human being. But if you've done all this work, if you've gotten through this, if you're able to endure and to persevere, then you have a lot of faith in yourself that you didn't before. And that is often the worth of a long, arduous journey, is that you learn to rely on you in a way that makes you very resilient when it comes to, gosh, despite seeing a bazillion TikToks on it, I completely forgot there was going to be a national emergency alert. And by the way, coming in at a completely random time. So even if I had remembered, I was not going to be looking for it at 11:17 in the morning. Thanks a lot, National Alert Service. Anyway, I hope that's not in the recording. I have a feeling it turned it off immediately. If it is, I'll just edit it out. But honest to goodness, being able to rely on you is the point of a long journey. Like, take pride in how much that you overcome. Instead of asking, why is the struggle so long and hard, take as much time as you do understanding that part to being like, darn, I'm plucky, because I just keep going. Even if you feel miserable and you keep glowing, you're a plucky person. People think, well, I didn't have any choice. I submit to you, many people make self-destructive choices that take them out of their long and arduous journey and muffle their experience. And it usually has to do with addiction and with drugs. And every path starts with a choice. Every path starts with a choice. It's not blaming addicts for their addictions. It's not. It's saying that, your ability to have a healthy and a better experience lies within your hands because you have the choice. The Chariot in the upright is the card of being pulled in two different directions. The Chariot in reverse is the card of choosing a direction. This is the card of self-love. Self-love will lead to better choices. And self-love will lead to better choices, which means that the people who remain in your life are only going to be the people who truly belong there. And then, as hard as it is, just let go of the connections from the past that hurt you. They say living well is the best revenge, and it's the only revenge worth having. Just let go of the hurts, the slights of the past, and move forward into this beautiful energy. And again, the reminder is you have a tendency to act when you're upset, and that's break that pattern. Break that pattern and you break this cycle. Divine Masculine, important conversation. Union, oh my God, what's happening here? Regain balance. And then regrets. We'll find out what's happening with that, but please be aware that you really have been told to sit with things before you decide on something. There's almost no... I don't focus on love readings because my collective is largely made up of codependent people, and it's actively bad for a compulsive element. You can get a personal love reading, but these pick-a cards, they have a tendency to trigger safety-seeking rituals where people seek reassurance in watching, reading after reading. And the only thing that can really give you your personal details at a really tailored to you level is a personal reading. Love readings, and genuinely, it should be about people you've met and what's going to happen with them. Don't look forward too much into that area. Why? Because it triggers something. And it touches into fears, because the opposite energy is always present. When you start thinking about love, what's the opposite energy of love? It's fear. And that doesn't mean that you're precluded from love, just approach it with the appropriate level of understanding to get the best results. And you can get all the guidance you need for your spiritual journey, for your financial journey, for your successful journey, for your career journey. But that, honest to goodness, the only role that tarot really plays in relationships is when you're trying to figure out if someone is trustworthy. And sometimes they're not. And so that's something that you can rely on as well, is go to a reader you really trust. Like somebody that you're like, yep, this person is not out just for my money, they are out for my well-being. To find out whether or not you can trust somebody and understand that if the answer is that you can't, that you should really put that into your thought process and let it inform your decisions, instead of rejecting it with that reader must be insane, which is a form of denial that people with some emotional... Having a little bit of difficulty getting through this reading. Hold on. We're going to wrap this up because that's like the third interruption on this, which is usually a wrap it up energy. Spiritual gangster, hypocrite, be careful. You're being warned about gossip, ancestor spirit team, and then jealous. Honest to goodness, you may have an untrustworthy person coming to you, but you'll be able to spot them. Just remember everything that you were told about making sure that you're in a clear-headed state and not acting from in the head and the heart battle. Get the heart settled down and then consult the head and then act. Okay? So pile number 3, that was your constantly interrupted reading. So whenever that happens, I'm usually trying to say something very important and something's trying to push back on it. When you're a powerful person, icky stuff tries to claim that. That's the easiest way to put it. And you have to be on your guard, but that doesn't mean that you live life permanently on your guard. Take care. Be well.